Hello and welcome, William Debaucher with iLearning Global and ILGsystem. In this Step 2.2 video that is still in the prospecting series, we're going to talk about follow-up. Your goals whilst following up is, of course, to keep in touch with your prospect and make sure that you are still on the radar. Second thing is to make sure that they watch a presentation. You can either direct them to a webinar that's done by your team, by your upline, or perhaps even by yourself, or to take them to a streamed online presentation. This can be practical in case your prospect is not available when the webinar will run live, or if they're in the wrong time zone for the webinar. In any case, you want them to take some time off their diary to go and watch a presentation. After the presentation, you want to make sure that they book an appointment with you or with your upline in the form of a three-way call in order to clear any questions and take them closer to making a decision. It is very important that your prospect understands that you need an appointment to be booked and that it needs to be time protected. So, whilst booking for the appointment, make sure at the end of the booking stage that you tell them, are you sure you're going to be able to make this appointment? And if you couldn't, will you please make sure to contact me beforehand because I am very busy, or because my upline would like to also make space for other people who would like to have three-way calls. Right? You need to make sure that they understand that your time is valuable. Now, back to square one here, keeping in touch. Keeping in touch is very important. Your prospects will make a decision from the 5th to the 12th contact with you. The fortune is in the follow-up, many people say. The fortune is in the follow-up, and I really very much agree with that, because if you count only on your email autoresponder to help a prospect make a decision, you're going to waste a lot of that time you spent getting your leads, or that money that you spent advertising, right? You need to make sure that you get to at least that 5th, 6th, 7th contact with your prospect. Now, what is a contact? A contact is a sustained period of focus and intensity from your prospect, thinking about you and your product and your opportunity. This could be a phone conversation. It could also be an email that they actually opened and read with some level of concentration, of course, a physical meeting, right? You want to use a combination of tools so that you vary your follow-up. If you'd be emailing them 3 times a day, it would be too much. If you'd be calling them every other day, it would feel intrusive as well. If you'd be trying to meet them in person all the time, likewise. However, as they opt in to your squeeze page, you could send them an email every other day initially, and then every 4 days, and every 5 days, and maybe every week, just so that you stay on their radar. And then every now and then you give them a phone call, and you make sure that it doesn't feel too often to them. When do you call? Well, my opinion is that you should call very quickly after opt-in. A few hours if you can, 1 or 2 days at the most, just to let them know who you are, that you're here, that you're a human being, and that you care about their business, of course. People opting into your page will have probably surfed for a few hours before and after they've opted in, because they were looking for something and they know that the internet is full of opportunities. You calling, come back on their radar. Very important that that first contact happens quickly. After that, you need to make sure that you space your contacts in the way that is the most appropriate to that prospect. There can be a variety of circumstances. You could have had their voicemail. It could have been in a noisy environment. They could have been very prone to giving you a half-hour conversation to start with. Depending on the case, you are the only one who will decide when the next contact will be. Right? So when you call, quickly, how often, you decide. 3, use of email. Use your email autoresponder and make sure that your emails are relevant. I've made that mistake in the past to send too many emails. And I've also made that mistake in the past to send emails that had been written by other people. It's better to send fewer emails that you wrote personally, because the person that's reading the email will feel whether you wrote them or not. Also, your emails will be opened if the headline is compelling. How do you know if a headline is compelling? Well, subscribe to a few newsletters from a few famous internet marketers. Collect them in a mailbox. Use a filter for that so that you don't get annoyed by all the emails you're going to receive. And look at, once you've got 20 or 30 headlines, which ones you prefer. And you can just use the same or variation. You will see that people will end up opening your emails. Use of events. Well, if you are organizing an event, if your upline is organizing an event, if the company is organizing an event, use that. That's a very good reason to call your prospect, because after you've called your prospect 2 or 3 times, you might run out of things to say. You've made a presentation, you've called them again, you've called a 3rd time to ask them for a decision, and now what are you going to do? Of course, a month and a half later, 2 months later, you can still call and say, hey, well, I was just wondering whether your circumstances had changed and whether you were in a position to now make a decision working with me. Well, if you've got an event, it's fantastic. Just call them and say, hey, remember we spoke about a month ago, we were running a fantastic new event in our local city, and I know you're close by. How about meeting in person and you attending the event? It's going to be great value and great fun. Events are great for that. Of course, webinars are events as well, but because webinars are online, best is to use email to announce your webinars. I hope this follow-up sequence video made sense to you and that will help you comfort your position with your prospects. Remember, the fortune is definitely in the follow-up, and you're going to have to pick up your phone. Now, if you want to work directly with me and you're not yet part of the team, we've built the team on 5 continents and more than 15 countries in a very short time span. If you want to work directly with me, please first opt in and fill in the form on www.ILGsystem.net. You'll be able to leave your details there, and once you've opted in, you will be redirected to an online application form. Please fill every section very carefully. It only takes 2 or 3 minutes, and in particular the section where I ask you to tell me a little bit more about yourself. Second, please take the time and watch the presentation on presentation.ILGsystem.com. That's presentation.ILGsystem.com. After watching the presentation, if you want to go ahead, simply book a time with me where we can clear out your last questions and lay a strategy that is specific for you on tungle.ILGsystem.com. If you don't find a suitable time in the electronic booking system, it could be that we have a configurations issue or that we are in very different time zones. In this case, simply send an email to info@ILGsystem.com. That's info@ILGsystem.com. My assistant will be in touch with you to set up a suitable time. I look forward to getting to know you, and please follow the step process if you want to work directly with me.